I want to talk to the people who just refuse to stay in their own lane. You know where you are in your life and you know where you want to be. But you constantly keep seeking out people who are not on your wavelength, don't understand where you're coming from, and are not willing to support you in your efforts. Yet you continue to pursue them. And I can only think of one reason why. You want to play Dr. Frankenstein and create a woman and create a man. You are headed for loneliness and disaster. I know when we're all younger, we're told that love conquers all, which is a lie. Because if love conquered and all we have to do is love our way out of situations, then a lot of the situations that we get involved with right now wouldn't even exist. Sometimes you have to know where you are in life in order to understand what type of person you need in your life. If you're in a place in your life where you're satisfied where you are financially, emotionally, spiritually, why would you get someone who is totally on the opposite end of the spectrum and has no ambition or goals? What do you think is going to happen? See, I look at it like this. If you come across someone who's not motivated or anything like that, just be friends. You don't have to have a romance. Just be their friend. I have a lot of friends of the opposite sex. We've never been involved romantically at all. We're friends. But they can offer the same emotional support when I'm down. See, the problem is a lot of you have never had a platonic relationship with a member of the opposite sex, and you don't know how to proceed with one. So every time that you encounter someone with the opposite sex, you automatically think romance. You automatically think sex, reproduction, procreation, permanent relationship, and you never had a chance to be friends. Some people are in a season where they think they need somebody with them, but that could be the worst thing for them at the time. I'm going to give you an example. I made reference to substance abuse centers where they discourage relationships while a person is trying to go through the withdrawal process because of all the changes they're going through. It's true. They're in a different mindset during that time. So once they start getting all the training and the coaching and the development that they need to try to rebuild themselves, their mindset is going to change. So the same way that they thought about you before they started the process may not be the same way they thought about you after the process. And that's another reason why they discourage any type of deep-seated relationships between people, romantic relationships when they're going through the process. You don't know. So if you're in this situation where you're going through a metamorphosis and you're going through changes, the best thing that you can do if you are interested in someone, and explain to them, look, I'm going through a lot of changes in my life right now, and I'm not in a position to say what's going to happen with us today or tomorrow. Do it right away and don't lead them on into thinking that it's more than what it is, because you're asking for a whole lot of drama and a whole lot of trouble. There's nothing wrong with being friends. Sometimes I look back in my past, there were people that I was romantically involved with when I know we should have just been friends. And we probably would get along better and have a better relationship. So with that being said, sometimes you got to stay in your lane. Some people economically do not stay in their lane. Clout chasers are notorious for this. These are people that come from situations of lack, and they'll do anything and use anybody they can to level up. But see, the problem is that they don't understand it's not all about just getting the money. There's a certain lifestyle and there's a certain mindset that's associated with that. Some of them take the time to train themselves, but some of them don't. If you're not used to running in those circles and dealing with those groups of people, then you're not going to be able to socialize with them. Therefore, you will not be accepted. If you're not used to going to certain parts of town and navigating your way through certain places and going to certain places you've never been before and never exposed to, then you're not going to fit in. If you're not used to handling money in a different way than you're used to handling it, you can't bring those ways into a new financial situation. You can't bring old spending habits into new financial situations. If you have a person who is used to spending money a certain way. They're used to making investments. They're used to investing in businesses. That's what they're used to doing with their extra money after they taking care of their obligations. And you're this type of person that wants to take every extra dime and go shopping and spend it on trips and everything else and not invest, then there's going to be a problem in your household. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's okay every now and then. But if you're the type of person who's never been exposed to that type of way of spending and you get involved with someone who does, be mindful there's going to be some disagreements. And they say the number one reason why a lot of people split up is not so much infidelity, but it's money. You have one person who thinks one way in regards to money and one person who thinks another way in regards to money, and they can't get any further ahead than they did from the day they met. You have to be in agreement. And a lot of you that come from, environments where things were kind of shaky, first thing you have on your mind is you want economic stability. I want to be stable. I want to have someone who has stable big money. But you don't think about the responsibilities. There's certain ways that you have to conduct yourself. There's a certain amount of knowledge that you have to have when dealing with people on certain economic levels. You have to know what kind of culture you're in. You have to know what type of social circles, economic circles, religious circles they run in. You have to learn about that person. It's not just about getting the money from them. And that's the source of a lot of contention in relationships, because you have a lot of people that went in for the money and thought it was going to be easy peasy. And then they realized there's a totally different world than they were ever exposed to, and never took the time to figure out where this person came from before they got involved with them. And they're having a rough time, because I can tell you right now, people in certain circles can tell when you don't belong. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. So it requires some research. It requires some education on your part. So if you, like my mother used to say, God rest her soul, and I mentioned this in previous videos, if you're going to do something wrong, do it right. Do your research before you go chasing. Do your research before you go chasing. Some of y'all are wolves after the chickens. You just go out as a wolf and you're chasing every chicken that's out there. And you're so busy caught up in the chase, you're not paying attention to whether or not that's the type of chicken you want. I'm just letting that rest for a minute. You're so busy chasing, you're not paying attention to what you're chasing. Everything has a certain amount of responsibility, people. You've bitten off more than you could chew. That's why you're sitting up there miserable. You got the fancy house and you got the money, but you're still unhappy because you didn't take time to understand the sacrifices and understand what world this person was coming from. And now you don't fit in, ain't trying to fit in, running around here depressed and drunk and high because you upset because you left home all the time. You're left out of events. People don't communicate with you because you don't fit in. You put yourself in a situation where you do not belong and didn't make any preparations to belong. And this is not just money, it could be a cultural thing. Marry into a certain group of people. It could be a spiritual thing. Join a certain organization because you want to so-called level up, but didn't take time to research what they were about at all. And now you're sitting up here, you want to blame them for not making you feel welcome. Blame yourself for not doing your research, because nobody twisted your arm and told you to do any of those things. Nobody twisted your arm and told you to put yourself out there like that. If you're going to chase, make sure you know what you're chasing. And make sure how you chase. Because you don't know what's on the other person's mind. Stay in your lane. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you don't like the lane that you're in, it is up to you to change lanes. Don't give that responsibility to someone else. Let someone, leave them alone. Leave them alone. It's up to you to make that change. You're looking for someone else to give you something that you should be giving yourself. And with that, I'm going to leave that alone. Just saying.